Please welcome contestant number 5, Brodie William Lawrence from Heriot-Watt University.
So if you study Chinese, you probably already know what Chinese Bridge is. If you don't, it's basically an international competition where Chinese learners come together to demonstrate their Mandarin speaking ability. Recently, I was lucky enough to be able to participate in the most recent Chinese Bridge, which was the 20th competition. So today, I want to talk about my experience with Chinese Bridge, ranging from the application process all the way up to the actual competition. Now, of course, my experience was quite unique in that it was held online this year due to the pandemic, just like it was last year. So my experience might be a little bit different from future contestants. So this is my experience. When it came to applying, my Chinese teacher actually approached me. I was really surprised, mainly because I always saw Chinese Bridge as this massive grand competition and only the best could compete in it, and I never saw myself as someone who was that good at Chinese. After lots of convincing from my teacher and my friends, I did decide to compete in the competition in the end. By the time I decided to participate, it was actually a day before the deadline. Luckily, the deadline for the actual application form seems to be a little bit later, so I had time to fill this out. This is important because you need to decide what the topic of your speech is and also what you're going to do for your talent. In the end, for my speech, I decided to talk about a story of when I was in China, and for my talent, I decided to do a rap. My teacher sent me a bunch of different songs that I could decide from, and in the end, I chose this one. I'm not going to play the whole song, not because I have AdSense, but because adverts are just really annoying. So if you want to listen to the full song, I'll put the link in the description. So the application process is pretty simple. It asks you questions such as your name, your Chinese name, your background, what you study, how long you studied Chinese, and oh, you better make sure you've got a nice photo of yourself prepared, because you have to upload one of those, and they will use this for marketing materials and also in the actual competition when you're about to be announced. So you better make sure it's something you're happy with. After a simple application process, it was time to prepare for the actual competition. Now, there are 4 things you need to prepare for. The first thing was my speech. Now, the way I did this was I wrote out a speech, my Chinese teacher corrected it, we went back and forth and did a couple of drafts until we were left with something we were happy with. Now, you need to make sure it's long enough to last for 3 minutes, but not too long where you'll go over 3 minutes. You could get penalised if you go beyond. One of the methods I used to learn the speech was to have my Chinese teacher read out the speech, and I would listen to the recording again and again and again until it really stuck in my memory. I was reciting this speech right up until the very last day before the competition, so I was pretty confident with it by the time the day came. The next thing is your talent. Now, I decided to choose a rap. I thought this was going to be quite difficult because the speed of it seemed quite tricky. However, it ended up being much easier than I anticipated. All I did was go into YouTube, listen to the song at 0.25 speed and repeat the verse by verse by verse at 2.5 speed until I learned it. Then go up to 0.5 speed, do it again, then go up to normal speed. And by the end of it, I felt like Eminem basically. It was crazy. I'm beginning to feel like a rap god. However, I don't have a good singing voice, so I do feel like my talent was one of the weaker parts of my competition. Make sure you choose something you are actually good at. The next thing you want to prepare is the knowledge round. Chinese Bridge will actually send you a list of all the questions that you need to study for, so don't worry, these are not questions that you need to know the answers to straight away. You actually get time to study all of the possible questions. These range from various topics, from Chinese language, which can include grammar, idioms and AABB structures, to certain idioms that need to include certain characters and things like that. So you want to make sure you've learned all of those. Other topics include history, culture and geography. This year they added on an additional topic closer to the competition, which was Chinese internet.
Now that I've gotten on the internet, I'd rather be on my computer than doing just about anything.
And this included language used on the internet, to jokes on the internet and also famous influencers on the internet. One of the questions was even about this video. The way I studied for this was simply by printing out the questions and writing my annotations on if there were anything I didn't understand or any new words that I didn't know. Then I could ask my Chinese teachers to explain it. This was actually not as difficult as I thought. It seems quite daunting at first because there are so many questions to get through, but if you just do it every day, you will get through it pretty quick. I made sure to study these questions in detail because in the past, Chinese Bridge has been known to change questions slightly with the wording or just replace certain words, and even straight up give you questions they did not allow you to prepare for. So I was really scared of that happening. Luckily that didn't happen at all this year, probably because they added the extra topic on. But if you're studying for the questions in the future, just make sure you get the details right, because they might change the question slightly in the competition. Another thing you might need to prepare for is a short video. This was only done for the online competitions, which was this year and last year. So what you have to do is come up with a 2-minute video explaining a little bit about yourself and your story with Chinese. Now, I did leave this video to the last minute. I ended up filming and editing it all in one day and I was really tired. So make sure you give yourself enough time because they do mark this video and it can affect your score a little bit. This video will not only be used in the competition itself, but also for marketing materials leading up to the competition where they'll introduce each contestant until the day of the competition. I was studying hard and then it came to 2 weeks before the competition. At this point there was a big meeting held amongst the competition organisers, the other contestants and their teachers as well. This meeting is quite important because they go over all the details from the order of the competition. For example, when they're going to do introductions, when they're going to do the talent section, when they're going to do the knowledge round, and so on. Also in this meeting they'll explain how they organise who goes in what order. To do this they'll use a WeChat mini program which will put people in a randomizer and you'll get a number. I was number 5, so I was 5th. After this meeting you will have a one-on-one meeting with the competition organisers to make sure your setup is right, there's no technical problems, and if you need any special requests for your talent section, for example, you can arrange that with them. Now, you better make sure you are prepared for everything before this meeting. This really threw me off guard. I thought they were just gonna go through the process and not actually make me do my speech and my talent, but yeah, they did. At this point I realized how nervous I was gonna be. When you do your speech, there's a timer that shows up on your screen which counts down from 3 minutes. This really threw me off, and when it gets to 10 seconds it makes a beep sound. So, the day of the competition comes around. We had to log in at 9:30 and the competition actually started at 10. I was very nervous. I think what made it even worse was whilst waiting for the competition to start, and even once it had started, there was loads of adverts and formalities and things like that. There was even a special, I think it was someone from the embassy who did a speech, and we actually had to write a response to them instantly afterwards. I think if they cut all that out, I feel the competition could have been done in about an hour and 15 minutes. Really. It was the 20th Chinese Bridge, so I understand why there's so many formalities. Apart from that, what goes on behind the scenes that you might not see, there's nothing really much else. When we do our speeches, we see the timer like I mentioned earlier. I don't think you see that in the broadcast. If you do, I'll put up some footage of it. I felt like my speech went pretty well. I was really happy with it and I did feel like the topic was fairly unique. I actually talked about a story when I was in China. I got ill and almost had to get surgery to remove my gallbladder. Yeah, it was really scary and probably one of the most terrifying experiences of my life. Apart from that, the competition went pretty smoothly. I was very happy with the questions. I knew all the answers quite confidently, so I didn't have any problems with that. Another thing just to mention to you guys is there is an award for ambassador. Basically, it's sort of a popularity contest. People get to vote on Zoom for their favourite contestant. Of course, if you get all your friends on the Zoom call, you can get them to vote for you. So obviously if you have a lot of friends, you can help boost your chances of getting that award. From what I've heard, it gives you a lot of opportunities like internships. You can even work at the office with those related to Chinese Bridge and things like that. So if you are interested in getting that, do make sure you prepare in advance to have all your friends ready to vote for you. I think the most relieving part was when it was over, to be honest. After I'd done all my bits, once I'd done my speech, my talent, talent, my Q&A, the knowledge round. Once it was all over, it was pretty relieving to say the least. I was really tired afterwards. After those weeks of preparing and all that, it was kind of crazy. I do want to say thanks to all my teachers who helped me. Actually, there were 3 Chinese teachers, so if they're watching this, they know who they are. Thanks very much, guys, for getting me through that process. Now, what happens after the competition? Well, depends what award you got. If you win the grand prize or the first prize, you will go on to another round where you will actually have to participate in this exam, and there'll be a big ranking, and if you do well in this exam, you get to move on to the Beijing round. As far as my understanding goes, my friend from last year had to do this exam and he said it was pretty difficult. You get monitored through a Zoom call and you do it on your phone. Of course, I'm sure it would be different in the future when the pandemic is over. For any contestant who's taken part in Chinese Bridge, you have a lot of opportunities presented to you afterwards. Sometimes they will email you about opportunities to take part in certain events or videos and things like that. The big thing is having participated in Chinese Bridge gives you a huge advantage when you apply for scholarships in China. A lot of forms will have a section specifically for Chinese Bridge contestants to fill out, so it really does boost your chances. It looks great on your CV, it can open a lot of job opportunities for you, so if you put it on your LinkedIn, it can give you a bit of a boost too. Regardless of how you did in the competition, you will have a huge benefit from this. So that was my experience with Chinese Bridge. I didn't go over every specific detail because this video would be way too long if I did that. But if you do have any questions for me, you can leave a comment below or just send me a message on Instagram and I'll get back to you. So yeah, I will see you guys in the next video.